There we are. Hey, you can hear me now. Excellent. Thank you for coming. I'll just let the last few people come in. Do you like that? Who here is from Porto? Actually from Porto. There's like 2 people. Thank you. This is an awesome place. So I went out earlier today because it was not raining for about 6 minutes. And I did a few drone shots. It's just such a beautiful area. Like, I couldn't help myself. So thanks to the people of Porto for putting that on. All right. A few more people coming in. Come on in. There's plenty of room at the front as well. Yeah, I know. I'm going to get you a bit out of your comfort zone today, but that's okay. So, see people? Yeah, this is front. There's actually no one sitting in the front. I don't pick on people in the front much. All right. Come on in. We're all friends still. Okay. Hi. I'm going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff that I've done in the past 10, 15 years, I reckon. And I'm glad you're going to be part of it. So this is a very participatory talk, as in you're going to be part of it, because otherwise it's about a 12-minute talk, I think, roughly. So I need you, okay? This was my clickbait title to make sure you came in the room. It worked, obviously. But there are a couple of disclaimers first that I just want to go through. This is my talk. I do not have all the answers, right? So, and it'll become evident why I say that as we go through today. This is just my subjective opinion on most things. And I want your opinion too. That's the beauty of subjective things, is that we can all have our own opinion about them. Take what you can use and leave the rest, because any advice, and this is a whole bunch of stuff that I just regurgitate because they've helped me, and then you don't have to screw up like I did. But if you don't think it applies to you, that's fine. It doesn't have to be, but maybe you can take at least one thing away, right? So I don't have all the answers. That's the main one. Ask lots of questions. Seriously. We have the lovely, I forgot, what was your name again? Yes. Sorry. We have the dude in the green. Sorry, man. No, he's got a microphone, so if you want to participate, and someone has to be first, okay? See, there's already one. No, we're not doing it yet. Nope, stop it. But he'll gonna come with the microphone, okay? Because we're recording it, we're streaming it, so make sure people can hear your question, or comment, or whatever. And do. There's always one. Don't ask about Lego or cars. We are going to talk about cars. We're not going to talk about Lego because I will not shut up. Just saying. Okay. So I'm going to start with where I'm at, okay? Because that's not a look at me, right? This is more of a I have got to this point now in my journey, and that's relevant to the rest of the talk. And maybe you can relate, okay? So I'm going to talk about just briefly where I'm at. So first of all, I get to live here. Well, not there, but that tree is on my property. Right? And I do live in Australia, but I am Dansk, if there's any Danish people here. But I've lived in Australia for 20 years. But now I live on a farm out in the middle of pretty much nowhere. It looks sort of like that. And it's a choice. And again, I'll come back to more of this in the talk. So we moved there a while ago. It was part of a plan. That's where I'm at now. That means that my son can grow up in an area where he can go to the creek with a dog. And he does Minecraft for real. Well, that's what he calls it. So he gets a shovel and goes and digs holes, or a pickaxe, which is great when you're 8 to have a pickaxe, but that's a different thing. Right, but it's a conscious choice. I work in a fantastic company. I was actually laid off 2 months ago. So my talk has changed a little bit since then, but it's all part of my journey, right? And I work for a company called Arcana, which is in Perth. And the cool thing is that I am the marketing budget. So I kind of get to do sort of what I want, but I'm a developer as well. Right? So it's kind of I don't know, it's a mix. It's fantastic. And I can talk much more about all these things. I am writing a book, and more of that later as well. That is one of those things that I've always wanted to do, is to actually put words on a page and try and figure out how the hell this thing works, right? I don't actually expect to sell any as such, because I know tech books are not a way to make any money, but I'm writing a book. There's my pride and joy, well, one of them. I'll get back to that quite a bit. And if you don't like cars, don't worry. It's the essence of the idea of why I got it. It's not the car itself that's important in this context. And we have llamas. This is where you're supposed to all go, aww, because everybody always does. And yeah, again, I can talk much more about llamas. All right, so, and I get to travel. I forgot that bit. Yeah, because I'm here, right? Which is cool. So how many has traveled from outside of Europe to be here? Because I know there's, see, there's 1, 2. Okay, where from? Do you want to, where did you? Accra. Where's Accra? In Ghana. Amazing. Like, seriously, this is cool, right? We get to do this stuff and we get to travel. Okay, so this is, can I move this? No. So, just as an incentive, because I do want you to participate, I have, for people that have great questions or comments, I am allowed to give away books. I haven't actually finished the books yet, so you get a virtual copy. But it is, you can follow the journey. I'm at like chapter 9 out of 12 or something. Someone was there, but you get to then read it, you get it, etc. Right? So that's my carrot to you to participate. Not that you probably need it. You look like a keen bunch of people. Okay, I'm going to start with a few questions, and you can just put your hand up to start with, or not. Again, it's sort of voluntary. But this is a very broad question, because it means something different to everybody. Right? But who here can say that they are genuinely happy in where you are? That you're like, I'm done. That's pretty good. That's about 8 more than normal, right? Because if you're not, why not? Like, what it is that you require to get there? Like, why are you not at that point yet? And it's a really good question to keep asking yourself, like, okay, I didn't really like that. Why didn't I like? Why am I doing it? Right? I love being up here talking to you, so I keep doing it. Right? If I didn't like it, I wouldn't do it. Have you set goals? So just show of hands again. Who has goals? Who has actually set goals? If you're not, are you familiar with the concept of goals? Does anyone not know what I mean when I say that? Okay, there's a few people. Okay, cool. And I bet you half of you actually don't have goals, but we'll get to that. Told you I'll get in your comfort zone, out of your comfort zone. And who here thinks that the grass is always greener somewhere else? Like, who looks at someone and goes, oh God, why are they doing all that? How do they get time? I wish I could do all that. Or, that's a great job. I wish I had that senior role in, what was it that Steve said this morning? Surveillance-driven development. That's a fantastic term. Right? Does anyone think that? Considering most of you said you're not happy. Okay. Right. So just bear those questions in mind as we go through this. I'm going to have to move this a little bit, sorry. Otherwise I can't see any of my notes. Cool. So now we get to the bit here. Who has a dream? Who wants to share a dream that they've got? Someone's got to be first, not you. Come on, anyone? I'm just going to stand here for 40 minutes otherwise. There's always someone's got to be first. Anyway, just shout it out. What's a dream? Something you would love to do? Win a world championship. That's definitely a dream. In what? Brent? Can we get audio on the mic, please?
Cyclocross.
Say again?
Cyclocross. Biking.
Biking, cycling.
Yeah.
Aha, okay, cool. Yeah, fair enough. That is a dream, right? And I'll get to why that is different from a goal. And then I still have this in here. I put no bigger ones, but that's a pretty freaking big one. And the first time I did this, right, was in the Netherlands. I asked someone, oh, you got a dream? Yeah, I want to get married. And then I put that up. I'm like, oh, shit, right? I wasn't, but every time it works, so I just kept it in there. But no, dreams are important, but they're not, they're not as important as you might, well, we'll get to that. So I'm just building it all up now, right? I'm setting the scene. So, who wants more time? Yeah, exactly, right? We're all like, oh, I wish eBay sold more time. Damn it. So then the question is, what do you want more time for, and why do you need more time? Right? Because it's easy to go, yeah, of course I want more time. I wish I had 2 extra hours tomorrow, right? Or whatever it might be. But we all have the same amount of time. I have the same amount of time as any of you. There's no difference. So why is that in such a thing that we always says, I want more time? It must be because we want to go where the grass is greener, right? Because you weren't happy. Kind of all relates now. Now, on the concept of time, here's my favorite bit. Who has a Netflix account? Yes, exactly. Or a Disney Plus account? Or what's the next one? Stan? Probably not, because that's an Australian streaming service. Anyone has Stan? No. Oh, that's good. Or Foxtel, which is another one thing in Australia, or cable, right? So now I'm going to ask someone, what was the last TV show or show you saw on Netflix? Or Disney Plus, or whatever. Anyone? Come on, just any show that you saw. Okay, there's one in there. Just do that so we can get everybody with it.
Better Call Saul.
Better Call
Saul.
Saul.
Yeah, Saul
That's
Goodman
it.
from Breaking Bad. Yeah, Better Call Saul.
No, keep that. How many seasons are there in Better Call Saul?
I think it was 6.
6, right? See where I'm getting this? How many episodes in a season?
Between 10 and 15.
10 and 15. And how long is an episode?
About an hour, slightly less, 45 to 60 minutes.
So let's say an hour. Maths makes it easier. Okay, so you've watched Better Call Saul for 15 or 12 hours times 6 seasons. So that's what, 130 hours?
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's say
so roughly a month worth of working weeks.
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. What has that given you?
Entertainment.
Okay, sure, right. Could you have got the same entertainment in half that time?
Possibly.
Possibly, right? Does anyone not get what I'm getting at here? There are things, and I pick on these specifically because I know us nerds have these services, right? It's a very common thing, but my God, it's a trap. Because you just watched 6 seasons, you might not have done it in one sitting, but some people do, right?
Let's not get into that.
Exactly. And you've just spent 100 and whatever hours we figured out, right? Don't put me on the maths. If you hadn't watched it, well, you've had all that time. So what are you really asking when you say I want more time?
Probably could have slept better.
You could have slept better. Okay. Also important, also important. But the whole point is that we spend so much time on, let's pick on these, let's say Netflix, even though I mean all of the streaming services, and we spend so much time on it, like unbelievable amounts of time, because we just got to watch the next one. There's a reason they can cut the credits and the intro, and so you just keep going, right? And it's just a challenge. Try and maybe cut that out for, say, a week or a month. Just don't watch it. And see what else happens. The first week, you're probably going to go, I'm bored, maybe. But you also find that you have oodles of time. So, and this is, again, this is not me just telling you what to do. This is just, I don't have streaming services very intentionally. Okay, I'm lying. I have Prime because it comes with Amazon. But I don't use them, right? And then what's the next question? So I say, okay, why do you watch it? And you just already said it, entertainment. Or what's the other one? What's the common excuse for watching lots and lots of streaming? What was that? It's cultural. Okay, I hadn't had that one before. That's not bad. So when you say it's cultural, what do you mean?
Well, everybody watches TV shows, and you want to talk about them when you're with friends in dinners.
Okay. So that's all you can talk about?
I'm sorry?
That's all you can talk about?
Of course not.
Of course not, right? So in that case, the other thing that normally comes up very often is that, yeah, but I need to relax, right? Hang on, I can't hear it. We probably need that because the echo is a bit. Just grab the mic. Just grab the mic there.
Okay. You want to relax, actually.
Want to relax?
Yeah.
Fair, sure.
You don't have energy to do something active.
Okay. Why do you need Netflix to relax? Why do you need to watch 3?
It's good to get out of your head, actually.
Okay, sure, but
you're looking at another person's history.
Yeah.
Actually, it's relaxing, I guess.
It's what's it?
It's relaxing.
To relaxing, yeah. And that's always the thing. I need to relax. I need to turn my brain off. I need to do something where I don't, because we all have quite, intelligence, not what I'm trying to say, brain-intensive work, right? We all have cognitive exercises all day, and I get it. But what if you were, say, you could watch a movie once a week? So I use movies a lot because movies end, right? You spent an hour and a half, you spent 2 hours, and it's done. There is no season 3, unless it's Lord of the Rings, then you're in for 12 hours. But anyway, and it's not perfect, but I get what you're saying. I understand, and it's not that simple. But my God, these things are just such a time hog. It's incredible how much time you, in my opinion, waste on this crap. And you said, oh, it's cultural, I need to talk to my friends. I'm like, really? Are you sure you need that? Because I don't have any friends. Wait. No, you know what I mean? There are so many other things that you can use your time on. So in my case, I use, say, a movie once a week, because I enjoy movies. I used to work in movie theater, yada, yada, yada. But I promised I wasn't going to say it. Anyway, Lego. Right? That's just my thing. And I do it with my son on some of the time. Some of the time it's just me. Some of the time I'm on the floor playing with it. But, you know. No, there are so many other things. It's just that we do this because why? Come on. You know. It's easy. It is the easiest thing in the world. And you sit down on the couch and you go, that's it. And that is why. So I just, again, challenge you. Try and cancel your Netflix account. That's extreme. But don't use it. And I bet you'll find you have other things to talk to your friends about. And it is a conscious decision. And there are conversations I can't participate in. But that's the same with many other things that I don't know anything about. So I don't see that as a loss. So I get it. I get why people do it, but I also think that you can do so much better. Anyway, I do like this point. I don't know if you noticed. Anyone want to comment on that or challenge that? Yes. Hang on. Let's go make sure we get everybody along here.
So if a lot of people cut Netflix and streaming services, how are they then going to escape from reality?
See, that's a whole different talk.
I'm joking because people talk about passing time.
Yeah.
So they have too little time and too much time at the same time.
But why can't you talk about a audiobook you listen to? Or in my case, you know, Lego is something many people do. Or why can't you talk about the project you're doing, extending your living room? Or like there's so many things that you can talk about where you can escape from reality and go into someone else's world, right? Doesn't have to be. Michelle is very, very keen.
I just want to, like, why are those other things okay, but this isn't okay? Why is it okay to spend all my time reading a book, for example, or playing Lego, but this is not okay?
That's a very good question. I like that. Thank you. You get a book. The reason that this is not okay.
I already bought the book.
Is that you get nothing out of this. Nothing at all, right? In my opinion. Again, this is my opinion, right? You don't have to agree. But there's nothing you get from this that you can use for anything else other than, say, talk to your friends, right? If you work in movie and television, okay, maybe there's more to it. But for the rest of us, no. And you end up spending 100 hours, 200 hours on stuff that you don't even remember much of because you want to be entertained, right? So that's my argument. Yes?
What about watching documentaries?
Documentaries, right, but they end. You don't have 16 seasons of 14 episodes per...
Well, sometimes you do.
Yeah, but they end. They're very finite. I don't know any documentary series that has, and next season we're gonna, unless it's reality TV and then it doesn't count. Right? But no, yeah, and you got to find your own balance. Like, this is not black and white, even though I'm trying to make it black and white. Of course it's not. But just consider it. All right, I'm gonna have to move on, even though I could talk about this all day. So that brings me to my next point. And this is one of my favorite words, and it is in English. I'm sure it can be translated to other languages, certainly Danish, is that be intentional. Favorite words, it's 2 words, but anyway, intentional, right? And this is, anything I do is with intent. I am here with the intention of trying to get you out of the slump, if that's where you're in, or give you some inspiration to do more things or chase your goals, right? The intention is so important. And I don't think, going back to Netflix, that when you watch something, it's with intent. It's because you can't be doing anything else. That's just, I'm going to stick to that. But if you're intentional about the things you want to do, you start actually achieving these things. So the intent is such an important part of it. And that word, every time you do something, it's like, okay, why am I doing this? What's my intention of doing this thing? Right? And it doesn't always work, again. But if you start using intentional words, like intentional, then you just find your journey gets much more, not structured, but you just start seeing the end goal or seeing the long journey. No, not that goal. Sorry, that one. Who has goals? And now I want to talk about goals, because that's such an important part of what we are as humans, what motivates us. Just anyone. Okay, up the front here. He was first. See, now we're getting somewhere. It's good.
Yeah, so I want to write a book.
You want to write a book? Fantastic. So I'm going to argue and say that's not a goal. That's a dream. Yeah, why? Exactly. Good point, right? So on what topic?
So I was contemplating on writing a book on writing your own game engine as a weekend project.
Game engine, very good topic, like it. When are you going to write the book? When is it going to be finished?
Don't know yet, I just started the first chapters.
Cool. And that's why it's not a goal in my definition of a goal. Because unless you make it absolutely intentional when you're going to finish it and what the topic's going to be on, etc. in this case, well, what's stopping you from going, I'm just going to watch Netflix instead?
Well, if I don't want to watch Netflix, then I want to write.
Yeah. But so my point with this is that it's good though. Don't get me wrong. I do like it, and thanks for volunteering. If you don't have an end date with this, if you don't know when your chapter 2 is going to be done, when chapter 4 is going to be done, and when you're going to do the final review, well, what's for stopping you to go, oh, I'll just do it tomorrow. No, I'll just do it next week. Oh, pub. Yeah, absolutely, right? It's very easy to get out of it because you're already giving yourself an excuse, saying, well, I don't have a deadline. But it's about intent. What if you don't need a deadline? But then why are you doing it? No, you don't need a deadline to finish it. I agree. But you don't know when you're going to finish it, which means it's going to be forever on your plate, possibly. Right? And the whole idea with goals, in my opinion, is that it's very firm when you're achieving certain milestones. Yes, sir.
What if you have two conflicting goals?
Conflicting goals?
Yeah, for instance, you want to write your book.
Yep.
You have a plan, but at the same time, you want to invest some extra time with your family.
Sure.
You have emergencies, so you give yourself like a day off to be with your family or whatever, friends.
Yep.
So it's two conflicting goals. One part is your own success, the other is socializing.
But I see. I don't think they're conflicting. I hear what you're saying. How do you make it all fit? I don't think they're conflicting. You can absolutely have more than one goal. Of course you can. You can have short-term goals. You have longer-term goals. In my family, we have a goal that is massive. Like it's 6 years down the track, and it requires maybe 60 different things to line up, right? But I have all these other little sub-goals, like something to do with cars, etc., something to do with our house. And the reason, back to your question, is that you need to figure out what is most important to you, right? And family, obviously. I don't think I'm wrong in saying that always comes first. But you also, so in my case, I want my son to see that he is not always going to be the attention, like he can't always get the attention because there are other things that I need to achieve for me, and give him that inspiration. And that's just the way I see parenting. I'm not going to tell you how to parent your children. That's not what we're here for. But I find a way where I can do both, because both are really important. So I don't think they're conflicting. It's a matter of time management, which is a whole other talk as well. Did anyone else want to pipe in? I thought there was a hand somewhere. No? All right. Oh, yeah, you can. We've got time.
I want to buy a piece of land on which I will build a house.
Nice. Good one. Right? Housing is important. It's often one of the goals we have. Have you considered where you want this piece of land to be?
Yes, it's been an ongoing topic since the beginning of the year.
Nice. Yep. Okay. And you have some sort of idea of when you're going to be able to purchase the land?
In the next 12 months,
There you go.
I would hope.
Right. But you're getting very close to actually achieving that sort of time frame, is what I'm hearing.
Yes, from my side, but it also depends on plenty of other factors, such as people from which I'm trying to buy it from. But we don't want to get into that.
No. But you're making a good point. There's always changes. You can have the best plan for your goal and whatever, but there's always going to be changes without fault, and we just have to manage those things. I did not intend to be laid off at the end of July. It was not part of my plan. I wasn't actually going to go anywhere, but here we are, right? So plans change all the time. That's just being human. So yeah, you say, well, and the important thing you said within 12 months. Then you work towards that, and you have to make assumptions, some things, and you're going, okay, well, they're probably going to sell it in 12 months, yet out, whatever the circumstances might be. But if that doesn't happen, then you have to adjust, but at least you have the goal to start with.
Yes, I
right?
agree.
And it's such an important thing. So I'm hoping that makes sense, is that these things, that's a rocket, these things are really important in your life, whether you have 1 or 10 goals. Probably don't have 10, please. That gets really, really complicated. But they're so important. Okay, I'm going to talk about 2 of my goals so that we can sort of quantify it a bit, right? Because I think goals need to be quantifiable. You need to know when you've achieved them. And here's the car again. Right, so if you're not into cars, that's totally fine. But this was a goal that me and my wife had. When was that? 2020, roughly? That we both into cars. I love cars in many shapes and forms, but we wanted something that had very specific criteria. So 7 seats, very loud, very fast, very large, et cetera, right? I actually had loud on there. I'm one of those guys, I'm sorry. But we went through and we researched a lot of vehicles that would fit these criteria. We figured out roughly what they cost. That turned out from new is $250,000. We went, we're not buying a new one, right? So you within our means, etc. But then we had it'll take us 18 months to figure out how to get enough money and how to finance it and where to put it. And so we were very particular about cars. So there was a long list of demands that we needed to sort of fulfill for ourselves. But we did. And we ended up buying it after, I think it was 18 months. I can't remember the exact timeline, but it's about 2 years ago. And it was just such a sense of achievement because when Fiona first said it, I'm like, what? Are you mad? Like the amount of money needed was like, this is crazy. But I wanted it. I'm like, okay, we've got to find a way. And again, the point is not the car. The point is that I've wanted it badly enough that I've made a plan and we made it happen. And then I could be snarky and say I wasn't watching Netflix while I did it. I won't go into Netflix again, I'm sorry. But it's one of those things that, for me, this was like, eureka moment. It was just such a sense of achievement that when it arrived, actually on a tow truck from Queensland, which is, it's like driving from Toulouse to here, roughly. Like a long way. And we could follow it, and it was very good. The fact that we got it, and we have it still, was just, it's the best feeling ever. So if you don't have goals, start with something you can celebrate, because that's one of the really important parts, is that whenever you achieve something, celebrate it. The other part of it is that I run a YouTube channel. And I've done video for a long time in many different formats. So it's training, as, mostly educational, but all sorts of different formats of video. And in January of 2021, I thought, no, I'm going to either do this or not do it, and I'll do it for real. So I set a goal that every 2 weeks I was going to release a video, and in my case, it has to do with network equipment and home automation and other things. Doesn't matter. But every 2 weeks I was going to release a video, no matter what. Because otherwise, I was like, I'm going to find an excuse. I'm like, I'll just do it next week. Yeah, my leg's really sore. I should probably, you always find something. But if you set that goal and say, no, every 2 weeks, I'm going to release a video. And then, of course, that's not enough. So I'm like, okay, well, I want to get to 1,000 subscribers. And the main reason for that is that you can monetize it. You can start making income off ads and other things. So that seemed like a good goal. So I achieved that in 9 months. I think it took quite a while. YouTube's hard. We all watch these YouTube channels that have millions of subscribers. That's not how it works. I don't know how they do it. And then I said another goal was that, well, I want 10,000 subscribers. And I want that by the end of 2023. And guess what? It happened last month. It's very cool. I ended up with 10,000 subscribers. Yay! Thank you. No, it's just, it fills me with joy because it was, at the time when I set that goal, it was like, holy crap, I did 1,000 in 9 months. How am I going to do 10,000 in like another year and a bit? It seemed impossible. But because I didn't give myself a way out, I was like, no, I'm going to make it work. So the secret sauce for me to do this was I actually ended up, the money I made off the ads, I put into ads for my videos with a subscribe button on it, because YouTube does that. And that worked to some extent. So you find a way, because I wasn't going to let go of the goal, right? So those are two things that I achieved that I'm immensely proud of, to be honest. Okay, anyone want to, in relation, once with that, oh, Andrew. I get him to run. All right.
There was two types of goals in your YouTube example there.
Yep.
There was the goal which you were in direct control of achieving, which was to release a video every 2 weeks.
Yes.
There was nothing really stopping you from doing that.
Correct.
And then there was another type of goal you had, which was to achieve 1,000 and then 10,000 subscribers. Yep. They're goals in which you can't directly achieve that yourself. There isn't a very specific pathway between the action you take and achieving the goal.
Yep.
Can you talk to the difference between those? Because I have zero problems with the first type, setting goals in things that I can achieve. But I actually can find the second type of goal demotivating. Because if I can't achieve it, then I feel like I'm just always struggling to achieve it. So I always find myself only setting the first type of goals versus the second.
So you stop challenging yourself. Sort of.
It's not the challenge. It's the first type of goal is something you can do, and you can be sure that the only thing stopping you achieving it is your own hard work.
Sure, sure.
You could work every hour of every day for 12 months and never achieve the second type of goal.
That's fair. Do you all understand what Andrew's saying? So there's the goal. Well, you were saying as well with the block of land, someone else has to, their actions have to be part of it. So if you find that demotivating, perhaps there are just, you haven't set enough milestones to how to get there, possibly. What I find for me is that they motivate me a lot more, because I know I can do one every 2 weeks, and who cares? Me, right? No one else cares, really, which is also important. I mean, I have to achieve it myself. But the other part of the goal, where you say it relies on other people, which is almost always the case, by the way, is that you then have to find out what makes it work, right? And that's why goals are so important, because they're supposed to be hard, right? Don't have a goal going, I'm going to go home today and make dinner, right? That's not a goal. Like, anyone can do that. Make them difficult. And the fact that I get, like, that motivates me is that I need to figure out, like, I was way behind on my 10,000 subscriber goal. Like, how do I do this without cheating? Because yes, there are services where you can buy subscribers. Please don't do that, right? So for me, that was okay, I've got to find a way. What is the secret sauce? And often when you do that, it forces you to see things differently. So in my case, it was like, oh, there's a Google ads for YouTube? Sure, I'll pay some money to achieve my goal, right? So I hear what you're saying, but I'm wondering if it's because you then go, no, I want 1 million subscribers. Oh, that's really hard. I'm not going to do it, right? If it's that, if you start like way ahead, instead of going, well, I need to get to 1,000, and then maybe whatever your measurement is, right? I don't know if that answered the question, but don't. Here's me being on stage going, don't let that discourage you, which is very easy to say, because it is hard. These are not supposed to be easy, by the way. That's why I chose a rocket before. They are supposed to be hard. But I understand what you're saying, and I'm wondering if when that happened, you go, oh, I'm not getting anywhere. If you then reevaluate your goal, because that's fine, and you say, well, maybe I'll scale it back a bit to something that I think I can achieve in the same time frame. And again, don't make it too easy. Does that answer your question?
I think so.
Okay, cool. There's a finger pointing. Cool, thank you. It's awesome. I did say it was going to be a short talk if you weren't participating.
It's in a way a follow-up to Andrew's question. If even when there are things way out of your control, shouldn't stop you from making goals, is there then any prospects that you shouldn't create as a goal that would be better to keep as a dream than a goal? Or is your opinion that you can make absolutely anything into a goal?
Yeah, you can. It just depends how important it is to you. like any dream, as I keep calling them, are important. It's important to have ideas of what could be possible and things you'd like to achieve or accomplish. But they're dreams until you put them on paper and you start going, okay, well, I need to do this and this and this and this. I don't think there's goals that are too big as such. There are goals that are too big to do in one go. And I'm certainly in that bucket with one of mine. So I've split it up into like 6 different things, because otherwise it'll never happen. Right, so you need to reevaluate, and that happens all the time. Like you go, I'm not actually getting anywhere. Is it because I don't care, or is it because I just don't know how to start or how to achieve it, right? You got to sort of figure out what the problem is. But it's a good question, because my next slide was about The Martian. Does anyone know, does anyone not know this movie or what it's about? Okay, a couple of people. In short, Matt Damon plays an astronaut, gets stranded on Mars, has to do a whole bunch of sciencey shit to survive and go home. That's the gist of it, right? It's a very good movie if you like space stuff. And it's relatively realistic. Now, the reason I put that up is that for the people that have seen the movie, how does he survive, spoiler alert, on Mars? Do you remember the line from the movie, anyone? No? He says, I'm going to have to science the shit out of this. And what he means is that he's going to have to solve one problem after another. Right? Okay, what's the immediate problem? This thing. Okay, well, I've done that. What's the next immediate problem? And he keeps doing that. And how that relates to me, I think, is that we bought the farm. Right? So this is where we live in Australia. This is a prettified version with flowers. Right? And the way that we got that farm was, so the short story is we signed the lease or the contract. I don't know if it works the same in every country, but in Australia you sign a contract and you have sometimes some conditions on there. We signed this unconditionally before we could afford the place. Right? So we actually signed the deed saying, yeah, we're going to buy it without knowing how we were going to buy it. And then we applied that Martian technique. Okay, what's the first problem? How do we even start this? Now, it wasn't completely like, I'm not a cowboy. There was some calculated risk in it. It's a good video, isn't it? There's some calculated risk in it, is that we had some idea of how we were going to secure finance for it, but we didn't actually know. So we ended up going through a whole lot of different legal loopholes and figuring out which bank would talk to us, and et cetera, et cetera. There was a whole range of things that we had to do, but there was no way in hell we were not going to live there. We made the intentional decision. The intent was we're going to live there, and we weren't going to budge from that. That was why we signed that unconditional contract, right? Who thinks that was stupid? There's got to be some. Yeah, thank you. Okay, good. Because there are always people that are like, that's too much risk. And you have to find your own sense of calm with this as well, right? It's not for everybody, but it's just one example of how I applied the Martian technique, as I call it, like just one problem after another until you get to the end. And then when we finally got the keys, it took 9 months. Holy crap, like that was just the best thing ever. And we did buy the worst place on the best street, I think. Like, what a dump. But just, we spent 10 years now renovating, basically. It's all worth it, right? It's all worth it. All right. And in fact, we're never going to say goodbye to that place at all. You like them? Llamas. I told you there'd be llamas. All right. So, sometimes you make mistakes. Actually, I make a ton of mistakes all the times. The example I normally use is that I used to work for Pluralsight, which is a training platform, and I was doing a course a long time ago in something called play-by-play. Two people get together, they record a video about a topic. It's loosely scripted. One person is the educator, one person is the student, and you teach that other one on camera, and you get stuff out of it. And I was the teacher bit in this one. It's changed a bit. And I was teaching quantum computing. Easy, right? No? Okay. And I thought it was just when Q# came out on the .NET platform. So 2015, something like that. And I was sure I had it right. Like I had slides ready. I knew exactly all the different definitions of super imposition, whatever it's called, all the various terms, right? And we recorded the whole thing, me and the other guy. And it was 2 hours of it. There was full camera crew, so 3 cameras. There was lights in a studio, like big production. That's how they did it. And then about a month later, they get the footage, they edit it all together, they send it off to Microsoft because just for a sanity check. And the feedback that comes back is like, what the is this guy on about? Like, what the hell is he talking about? I got all of it wrong. I completely misunderstood it. Right? Especially the very critical concepts of how quantum computing works, I got wrong. And I'm like, oh, shit. Luckily, they never released it, so you will never see it. Right? I don't even have a copy of it. But it was just at a point where I go, okay, do I try and defend it and say, no, because I think so? Or do I just own the mistake and go, yeah, I screwed up. Holy crap, that was, yeah, I don't know. I must have eaten something I could, like, I don't know. Why did I do this? I was so sure it was right? But instead of trying to blame someone or explain it away, it was just like, nope, I screwed up, I'm sorry. And if you do that, I don't know if anyone don't do that, I'm not gonna ask you necessarily, but what happens when you own your mistakes is that, well, 1, you can move on because you know you screwed up. You learn from it. And 2, it actually often adds to your credibility. It makes other people go, oh, yeah, well, you're not right all the time, but none of us are. And it gives you that credibility of like, they will know when you screwed up because you'll tell them, or you'll admit it if they tell you, or whatever the circumstances might be. So that's just a very important part of it to me. So with goals, I'm sort of trying to not make you do the same mistakes I did. I want to talk about the birds. Does anyone know the concept of the birds? No? Most people never do. It's very interesting to me. So when you have some sort of grand idea, so let's say write a book, right? For example, we'll write a book. That's a good example. And you start telling people, you go, oh, I'm writing a book. It's really cool. I'm doing this. It's about an 8-bit Nintendo, whatever. I don't know what you're doing. And then people go, oh, really? Right, okay. And then people start going, are you sure you can do that? That's really hard. Writing a book is a lot of work. So are you sure you want to do that? And the birds start pecking at you, right? They start coming up and they go, oh, nah. You know, I think you should watch next week. No, they don't say that. I think maybe, like, that's really hard. I'm not sure you should do that. What they're not trying to discourage you from doing it. What they're doing is they're projecting their own insecurity and their own, deficiencies essentially on you. But it's so powerful because often, who does this? Who is it that gives you these opinions? Come on. Friends and family, exactly. Because those are the people you shared with first, right? They're the people that you're most proud to share it with. And it's not like they don't want you to succeed, it's just that they don't think they can do it. And if you keep that in mind, because I've had that many times, like a lot, because my family is completely different to me in a lot of aspects. Maybe that's why I moved from Denmark to Australia. Anyway, just keep that in mind, that their opinion doesn't have to matter if you want something bad enough. It's really, because it's so easy to fall in that trap. Because it could be over months, and so you start doubting yourself, you start thinking, oh, I probably can't do it. Yeah, that's hard. No, I should probably try something easier, right? So just bear in mind the birds, they're always there. And then what you can use is reverse psychology a lot of the time. Yeah, I like that a lot. Now, it's not always that simple, but the reverse psychology part of this is that when people start doubting you, you sort of go, well, what would you do? Like, move it back, turn the topic away from you and try and make them see that it's not you that's doing something that you shouldn't, it's them trying to prevent something they wouldn't do, if that makes sense. Just in one example. How are we going for time? All right. Anyone want to share anything about this? Yeah, I figured there was a hand down here.
To me, those birds are actually motivational, because when I want to do something, I often slack off. But if I tell people this is my goal for the next 3 months, people ask, how are you doing with that? And that helps me a lot.
Yep, that's a very good point. So you're saying I need to tell someone to be held accountable, right? And absolutely. I'm not saying everybody does this. I'm just saying there are certain people that will do it, and they're often close to you. We'll get to that in just a second because it's a very good point, and I am going to get to that. Excellent. So, one of the ways that you can help you get into and achieve your things is getting a mentor. So, who has a mentor or is a mentor? See, there's like 3 people. 4. Does anyone want to sort of share why don't you have a mentor? Is that because you don't know how? Is it because you never heard of it? Is it because you don't need one? Like what? There's no wrong answers, but why? What is the? Just give me something. Wow, I'm about to call you a Belgian audience, and that's see. Hey, did you want to? Yeah, did you have your hand up? I'm not sure. Yeah, cool. Go for it.
I did. So I'm a mentor myself.
Yep.
But I find it very hard to find a mentor.
You find it hard to find a mentor. Okay.
Yeah. And I think especially when you're like more experienced, like you really. It's not that you cannot learn. On the contrary, like I learn a lot by being a mentor myself.
Sure. Of course you do.
But you need to create this connection. You need to relate to, and I'm not sure if that just clicks, but for me it's really hard to really find a mentor.
Yep.
I've tried, but
and that is the number one reason I always get is it's very difficult to find a mentor, and I don't think it has to be right, because where do you find them? Like where do you go? Like because I would start something like maybe at work or well if you want to pitch in, Michelle, because you are one, I know that.
I am one, but I'll tell you where I found one. People, I think people often think it's like, you know, they wander around saying, are you my mentor? Are you my mentor? Like, you know, they're looking for the holy grail of things. And that's, you know, and they're not. Mentors are just people like you and me, you know, they are normal people.
Oh, yeah.
And where I got mine was when I applied for when I got my favorite one, because I have many. I think mentors should be like a board of directors, like get a load of them.
100%. You're stealing my thunder.
Yeah, I applied for a job and I got rejected.
Yep.
And it really hurt and I cried for 3 days. But in that interview loop, one of the people I spoke to, we hit it off. We had an amazing conversation. We sparked ideas in each other. And after I stopped crying, I called him up and said, could we have a call once a month?
Yep.
And he's my mentor now.
That is an awesome story, because that is exactly how it should work. Not always does. So Michelle's saying that she basically, through a rejected job interview, she found a mentor. Because you want people to know something that you don't, and everybody does. So you were saying, oh, it's hard when you get a bit more senior. I have a mentor that's 28. Right, and I'm not, in case you hadn't noticed, right? And that's totally fine, because her perspective on things is so different than mine. So if I go, oh yeah, especially with my book writing, I am a really slow book writer. It's the hardest thing I've ever done. So I talk to her, and she goes, so have you written any book? No. Okay, why? And she just goes straight for it. She doesn't have to know what the book's about. She doesn't have to know how to write a book. She just has to know how to keep me honest. Right? And that's really what it's about with a mentor. They have your interest in mind, but they're not necessarily your friend. Right? They're not there to have a beer with you, or they're not there to, you know, tell you, it's going to be all right. They're there to give you a solution or a kick up the ass or whatever it is you need. Now, back to finding a mentor, which is always hard, is if you go to a user group. Surely someone here goes to meetups or any kind of technical gathering of people. Ask one of them if there's someone you see that's very good. And the worst thing people say is no. Right? I have, because I do this talk, people ask me occasionally, and sometimes I'm like, no, I already got like 4 people that I'm mentoring. I can't do all of it. And being a mentor doesn't mean that I know all the answers. Again, as the disclaimer said at the start, I don't have all the answers. But what I can do is I can listen to what you want to achieve and poke you and turn off your Netflix, right? That I can do. So get a mentor, however they come. Is it at work? Maybe it's your dad's best friend. Maybe it's, I don't know, whoever it might be. It doesn't have to be in the same industry. It doesn't have to be the same age. It doesn't have to be the same gender. It's just people that want to help you. That is the most important thing. And it's so important. It's really important. Okay, so now back to the gentleman in the back there that asked about how you need to tell friends, right? Because this is about friends. And in your case, I envy you a little bit, because it sounds like you have very good friends that actually sort of say, well, how far have you got? right? They have your interests at heart. Because what often I hear people go, oh yeah, but I got to go to you know, Stephanie's graduation, son's graduation or something, or whatever it is, right? I'm like, okay, why are you doing that? Oh, I've known her since high school. No, why are you doing that? And they can't come up with a good reason why they still associate with these people, right? It's just that because I've always done it. And this is probably the hardest part of this talk, I think, is that sometimes there are people that just drag you down. It's just how it is. It's people that either the birds could be it, but it could also just be friends that you feel obliged to hang around because you always have. And all they do is they say work at a supermarket at the checkout. I don't know what, but something that is certainly not in line with what you want to do. And this is it's a cliche, but it's true. You want to associate with the people you want to be like, right? If you're the smartest person in the room, you're probably in the wrong room, right? You need to find the circle of friends that are achievers like you want to be, or has similar goals, or similar industry, or whatever it might be, right? And it's really tricky. It's very hard once you have these established friendships that you're just like, it's just a time hawk, and I get nothing out of it, and it's always, and I'm sure we have friends like that, right? Maybe we move on from that. I know it's hard, but it's just, it drags you down. And we're talking about, you know, what's the gold nuggets in getting more out of life? Well, that's one of them, as cruel as it may sound on face value. Anyone? Either got a friend like that or think I'm stupid, or it's fine, you can.
Not really a question. I just want to say thank you. I'm feeling validated right now.
Cool. Okay. In whatever way, you're welcome. That's awesome. And again, as long as you get one or two things out of this talk today, I'm really happy. Like, you do not have to agree with everything, but it's just my journey. Okay. So we have 10 minutes left. So let's talk about how we actually do this, because I did promise that. Like, how do we make this into reality? Because we talked about a lot of concepts and a lot about what you should do, etc., right? So it's actually not difficult, it's just really hard, if that makes sense. It's not a lot of steps, yeah. So the first thing is plan. And there's a very specific reason I put this as someone writing on a piece of paper, because write on a damn piece of paper. We are all nerds, and we all put it in Excel, or we put it in Google Notes, or whatever it is we do, and then we never look at it again, right? If you write it down on a piece of paper, and you say, hang it on your fridge, you look at it every damn day. And it's such an important reinforcement. For me writing something by hand, as bad as my handwriting is, it actually makes me remember things better. It makes me think about it more. For some reason, there's some connection between my hand and my brain. So do that, plan it, figure out what it is you want to do, plan it. It doesn't have to be a perfect plan. No, we can't make it perfect. We just do a best effort with what we know right now. And when things change, we reevaluate, we reassess. Plan, really plan. The next part of it is review. As I said, things change all the time, and that will never be different. No, you're not going to have a perfect run at anything. It's just not how life works. So you review. Say, okay, where I'm at. Some people do it a weekly thing, very, very structured, very formal. You go, so Sunday night I'm reviewing my goals, or once a month or whatever. That works for some people. Some people is like, oh, yeah, I doesn't feel like I'm on track. I should better review. So it's more of a reactive thing. Whatever works for you, but review it, because that means you are paying attention to where you're at the moment and how you might make it different, right? Because if you just write something down and leave it for 6 months, you're not going to do it. It's not going to happen, right? You have to review it and look at it all the time. And then, of course, hard work. None of this is easy. Because, and I'm going to bang on it again, I'm sorry, Netflix is easy, right? That's why I don't like it. It is an escape. We don't need it, we don't have to use it. There's many other things we can do to stimulate our brain or relax. But hard work is such an incredibly important part of it. I'm not saying that you have to slave away 14 hours a day. That's not the point. What I mean by hard work is that you need to have some sort of progress all the time that you're happy with. Right? Because otherwise, momentum is everything. If you lose the momentum, and let's say in the book writing thing, if you write 3 chapters and then look at it for 4 months, suddenly you're like, mentally you don't even know where to start. You lose the track of the thing. So the hard work is like, just keep doing it, right? And of course, if something really doesn't work out, get rid of it. If it's a goal that you go, I thought I wanted it, but I really don't, okay, remove the goal. It wasn't really that important. That's fine. But the hard work is very important. And then, of course, go all in, right? That's sort of my point. Just go for it. Like, absolutely go all in on whatever it is that you think you want to achieve, whether that's buying a block of land, or it's a book, or it's goals that you want to set, whatever it is that your thing is, don't let anyone stop you. So, because what's the number one easiest things you can do? The absolute easiest thing. I talked to Andrew about this morning. You can't say anything. What's the easiest thing? Quit. Yeah, it's super easy. People do it all the time. In fact, most people do it all the time. It's very easy. Right? Don't. If it's something you really want, just go all in. Just. Don't say just. And then do a thing. Right? Whatever it is, because I'm hoping some of you are thinking right now, yeah, I really wanted to do that blog post, or I really wanted to record that thing, or I really wanted to build the thing, or I really wanted to, whatever it is. Right? Just do one of them. Just do it. Do a thing. It's really rewarding, especially if you celebrate it once you've done it. If it's a reasonable sized thing, don't mow the lawn, doesn't count. Just do the thing. Okay, so that's my challenge. Change one thing, whatever it might be. Change one thing today. Anyone don't want to do that? Good. That's 140 people say they're going to change. Good. Cool. So I'm going to leave you with that. Any questions? And by the way, this is AI's version of question time. A llama asking, what's on your mind, NDC Porto? Anyone? Final remarks? And while you are listening to that, if you want, that gives you apparently 40% off the book. Because plug, I don't know.
What do you do if you find out that reaching your goal was the worst thing ever, the worst idea you ever had? Because you thought it would be great, but once you achieved it, you all of a sudden realize that, oh no, this is not what I thought it would be.
So what if you achieve the goal you set out and it's the worst idea you ever had?
Like your YouTube channel. Let's say your goal is to get 1 million subscribers, to get 1 million subscribers.
You couldn't possibly have known then that it was a bad idea before you completed it, is what you're saying.
Because,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, move on. Like you can't, that you did the thing and you realized, that was a bit shit. Then, okay, have that experience, that lesson, and move on.
Now you have 1 million people who expect you to provide them content that depend on you, and you feel obliged to give them.
Why? Why is it their decision?
Because you got them to subscribe to you.
Yeah, but there's many other channels they can subscribe to. Okay. You know, if you want to be kind, you go, sorry, it's not for me, go over here. Right? I don't think that's a problem. I think not achieving the goal is worse than achieving it and not liking it, if that makes sense. I think it's a much better sense of achievement to have the goal done and go, I freaking did it. And then go, but actually not for me. And it happens all the time in education, by the way. I thought I was going to be an accountant. Yeah, right? It happens all the time. I almost went and studied accounting as well. So yeah, it happens all the time. So unless there's other questions, anything, we've got like 2 minutes left. That's it. I'm gonna hear what Andrew has to say.
It's less of a question and more an alternative answer for the last question. Is that all right?
Is it an alternative fact?
No.
Good, because then you can leave.
Sometimes when we achieve goals and we're disappointed when we've achieved the goals, it's because we misunderstood what we were actually wanting to achieve.
That's good.
So, for example, I also do a lot of coaching and mentoring, and often people come to me and they'll say, I ask them, why do you want to be coached and mentored? And sometimes people will say things like, because I want to get rich. And then, of course, I will try and double-click into that and go, well, why do you want to get rich? And a perfect example of this was a lady came to me, said she wanted to be rich, and I dug into it. She'd grown up in Poland, and for her, stability, money meant stability. She grew up not being able to feed her family. And so for her, money meant she could always put food in their mouths. If I'd have taken that at surface value and said, okay, you want to be rich, become a contractor, that would have been the worst possible advice for her. And so sometimes when we're in these places where we meet a goal and we're disappointed when we meet it, it's because that isn't actually what we wanted. We wanted it to fulfill a deeper level need, and the goal that we met, we thought would give us that deeper level need, but we've missed the mark. And
why are you not doing this talk? That's way better.
So yeah, if you do end up in that scenario, it's worthwhile trying to dig deeper and go, why did I want that? What was I trying to fulfill by meeting that goal?
And actually bring it back to that's why you need a mentor sometimes. Because you're not sure exactly what it is. You know which direction, but you're not sure exactly how. Mentoring can certainly help with that. So I did promise books. You're going to get a book because you're writing a book. The Gentleman with the Property and The Good Friends. And there was 2 more. Who else? Jeez, you're supposed to put your hand up. There you go. And up there. Or you can as well. 6 is good. Just come and see me after, and I'll tell you what to do, if that's all right. But that's it. That's all I have. I hope you got something out of it, and I hope you had a fantastic NDC Porto. Thanks for coming, and enjoy the break.